Performative content can also happen if you're hoping for quick engagement. Like you just really want to play with the algorithm. Can happen with the need for optics over impact. Performative content can look good in the moment, but it can also erode trust long term. Powerful content is going to cost you something. Hi, friends. No interview today. I hope you've enjoyed the interviews so far. Today, though, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between, performative content and powerful content. Like, how do we know something is performative versus authentic? Something that I have been grappling with for a while, actually. And I just wanted to see what everyone else thought in terms of if you guys agree with me. We often say we care about something. Like we sit down as a company and we put together core values for our brand, and usually we have some ethical artwork. Like we hang them on the walls. Sometimes we can spend a lot of money on that ethical artwork. You guys know what I'm talking about. You walk into an organization and they have their core values written on: excellence and integrity, honesty. All pretty much words any company would hopefully have for values. But I think the question should be, are we living our values? We as humans, are we living our values? Like, what are your core values? I was really surprised when I asked my friends if they had done a core values exercise, like themselves, if recently, or if they could identify their top 5 core values. And a few of my friends had never really even thought about it or done anything similar to that. It just happens that I'm a really big, personal development geek and have done it a couple times. I've also been in leadership roles where we have to sit down and kind of figure out how we work and what our strengths are and whatnot. But one of the things that I realized a few years ago is when we start to feel, unsure of ourselves, or if we start to question our abilities, or we start to grapple with our confidence, I think the first thing to ask yourself is, are you living into your values? Is something that you're doing going against some of your core values? And is that why you're feeling a little bit off? Right? Living into your values. I think as marketers and as content creators, if you post anything to social media, you are a content creator. Are we showing those values through our content? Are we living into our core values and showing up in them, in our videos, in our written content, and any of it? Do you stand for something? Does your brand stand for something? How could you spot performative content from a brand? Or how can you tell if it's real? How can you spot performative content in yourself? How maybe if we're posting, it's because we're hopping on a trend, or we're, sometimes we're triggered by something and we share something that maybe doesn't fully represent you as a person, but you share it anyway because you're pissed off and you agree with it in the moment. I might be guilty a time or two of that. How can we shift from the performative content into powerful content that actually resonates and creates impact? Right? Like performative content that's made to look good. It's, we post it to earn some quick validation, or like I said, jumping on a trend that maybe doesn't have much depth to it. In terms of, for the brand itself, I often give the example of performative content being somebody in June posting, the rainbow or a pride flag as their profile picture, but not ever talking about or celebrating pride any other time of year. I think that's performative content. They're hoping to insert themselves into a conversation that they would not otherwise do unless it was Pride Month. I mentioned this a couple times on my social media feed in terms of I've been known to share other people's voices. I'll repost something that I agree with, which is okay. You can be a platform to share content that you believe in and that you can get behind. But am I doing that because I'm hiding behind those bold quotes and unwilling or not wanting to write my own or come up with my own or be seen on camera with my own? I hope not, but fear of showing up that boldly has been honestly something that I've probably, come up against since high school. I remember one teacher telling me that I was just really loud and I needed to tone down my comments. Not loud in like volume loud, but loud in my arguments, maybe. It was social studies, so who knows? I don't know what we were talking about at the time, but too bold. I was too bold, too loud. Powerful content, not performative content. So I'm not sharing someone else's. Powerful content would be rooted in my values. So like my core values, if I were to look at them, obviously one is authenticity. I do think my content is rooted in authenticity. I don't know if anybody else could deny that from me, but one of my core values is consistency, which is funny because I haven't found myself being super consistent this year. And it feels off. So I'm trying to be a bit more consistent, but thinking through your core values and rooting your content in those core values and aligning those core values with actions, right? So authenticity for me often means sharing some mental health struggles so that other people who struggle don't feel as alone. I often, have some self-deprecating humor going on about how much I'm medicated when people ask me how I'm doing without Addison around. She moved to college. I usually say, I'm fine. I'm highly medicated. And then we talk about mental health and how, social media is affecting mental health, both in our generation, older generations, younger generations to come. What is social media doing to our mental health? I often struggle with that one because I work in social media. So am I just adding to the noise or am I creating content that helps people? Am I helping my clients create content that will impact and do good? Or am I just adding to the noise? Like that's something that I also have had to answer for myself and what type of content packages I offer and who I'm willing to work with. All those types of questions to make sure that what I'm doing online, like what I'm creating, aligns with my values, right? Like it's rooted in my values. I also think that powerful content means that you're willing, it's going to cost you something, whether that cost be time. Maybe it's vulnerability. Maybe there's a little bit of vulnerability hangover that shows up after you've shared something. That's definitely happened to me. Maybe it's risk of some sort. Putting yourself out there, maybe people in your circle don't know certain things about you and you start sharing them online and then everybody knows. Powerful content is going to cost you something, right? Like time, vulnerability, risk, consistency, whatever it might be. I think it's safe to say that performative content can happen, even with the best of intentions, right? There's always a fear of backlash. The cancel culture thing is really real on social and on video, and that fear of being canceled or that fear of backlash can cause us to stay safe and continue to create generic content, which would be like 5 tips to create the best carousel post. That's not the type of content I'm interested in creating. I'm interested in creating the 5 tips to really make your carousel mean something. But I think performative content can happen when we are pressured to stay relevant. If we're trend hopping, there's a ton of trends that kind of come up, especially, recently, Taylor Swift announced her next album and everybody pounced on that trend in terms of Taylor Swift and it was orange and I think it's her 13th album and she's releasing it in just a few days here. October 3rd. And everybody hopped on that trend. But if you've ever said anything negative about Taylor Swift or her music, and yet you hop on that trend, that is definitely performative content, right? And that is not me. I love Taylor. I'm a Swiftie. But performative content can also happen like if you're hoping for quick engagement, like you just really want to play with the algorithm, can happen with the need for optics over impact. Performative content can look good in the moment, but it can also erode trust long term. So just, be aware of when you're posting, when you're hopping on a trend. Make sure it aligns with values. If we were to dive into like my Candid content framework, if we were to like take a peek at what that framework, what that tool is we need to make sure that our content aligns with our values and with our customers, right? So we're sharing content for a specific reason, and the A in Candid means align. So let's make sure it all aligns. I think questions you could ask yourself before you post is, am I saying this because it's safe or because it's true? Some of the things we say could be safe content to post. I mean, I love talking about mental health. I don't think mental health is something that's going to get me canceled. So it's safe. I think talking about mental health awareness and my values around mental health awareness and mental health access and all that stuff, it's a pretty relatively safe value to stand on. But I still believe it to be true. So that's where I think it can be powerful. Does it align with my actions offline? Like I said, if you jump on a Taylor Swift meme and yet you tell everyone that you hate Taylor Swift, those values don't align, and that's going to erode trust. Another question to ask yourself, if no one liked this post, would I still stand by it? Like, do I believe it even if nobody sees it? Do I care? I think we all care, right? Like, we take time to create content. We want people to see it and like it and comment and share it and save it, all the things. But if nobody sees it, do you still stand by it? And then this one might be a little hard if you're not as self-aware as some, but are you posting this because it connects with your audience needs or because it connects with your ego's needs? Is it your ego driving it, or is it your customers' needs that are driving it? So again, 5 ways to check yourself on if you're being performative versus powerful. You're pretending, you're performing if you show up only when it's easy or trending. You're being powerful, you're actually caring if you stick around when it's inconvenient, messy, or hard. So that's one thing. Convenience versus commitment. Second, optics versus impact. Do you post about it for the likes only, or are you taking action that makes a real difference, even if nobody's watching? Third way to check yourself, words versus sacrifice. If you say you care until it costs you something, then you don't really care. You don't really give a fuck. Sorry if we've got kiddos listening in the back. But if you are taking action that makes a real difference, and you're willing to give time, energy, money, or comfort to back it up, that's powerful. Does it make you feel vulnerable? It's probably candid, right? Like, that's another piece of my Candid content framework is daring. Do you feel daring? Do you feel a little, pushed out of your comfort zone when you share it? That can be one way to know that it's authentic and powerful content. Fourth way, are you looking for the spotlight, or are you looking because you're or are you sharing it because you center the cause, not your image, right? Like, do you want to be seen as good? Saying that you care about mental health, even though you don't. You shun people who are on meds for it, or you don't allow time off work for therapy sessions. Like, we say we care about it, but then we don't follow through on our actions, but we want to be seen as good. Actually caring means that you center the cause, the people, the impact, not your image over it. So, and then the last one, is it short-term versus long-term? You show up once and then move on. We post our pride flag in June, and then we move on and never do it again. Or are we going to stay engaged, learn, and keep showing up to support these values and to support these causes that we care about? So, I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts in terms of performative versus powerful content. If I missed anything, let me know. But I would love to see more powerful content. I would love to see more candid content online. I am fed up with the performative content and people just saying they give a fuck when they don't. All right, friends. I hope your scroll feeds your soul. Oh, look at that. A little rhyme. and doesn't drain it. I think my scroll has been draining some of my energy lately, and I'm trying to figure out a way to ignore more of the performative content and focus on the powerful content, and then focus on creating powerful content myself. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and continue to show up with your powerful content, friends. Can't wait to read it.